I think there's a very big difference in this occasion. That is that so many of this present Dublin team have won an All-Ireland medal. They know what winning is about. They know how to do it. They've won a National League, so that if they get half a chance at all, they're going to put it away. And being sapped from Dublin and so on, they won't lack for confidence and in self-belief and know-how. They'll know how to do it. And that's why it's going to be a tremendous test of character on both teams on Sunday.
Because it is Dublin, though, Meath will very much be on their toes, won't they?
I would hope so. No matter who you meet in an interprovincial playoff, you've got to be on your toes. But Dublin, because they've been so incredibly consistent now since the early 70s, you know, as I say, half a chance and they'll take it and they'll put you away.
We're still looking forward to Sunday's match immensely, Mick, and because of the fact that we meet in Dublin in the last 2 years, 5 or 6 times at least, it still doesn't take away from the fact that it's Meath and Dublin in a Leinster final, and it still has a great appeal to both sets of players, I presume. And Sunday's game will be no different. As I say, even though we've met recently, only 5 or 6 weeks ago, we'll still be looking forward to Sunday's match in a big way.
You are a very confident bunch now since winning the championship last year.
Yeah, I think with the amount of work we've done during the league, I suppose we've been together nearly constantly since the All-Ireland. There's been a relatively small break in between that, and working and training and that type of thing has made us become a much better team.
Matty, to you people in the forwards, in fact to the whole team, the return of Jerry McEntee was very important, wasn't it?
Oh yes, Jerry was a great boost there. When he wasn't playing down the start of the league, we got hard to get going. You know, his determination and physical strength in midfield, it was great. And so the turn of Jerry McEntee was brilliant, you know.
So it could be said you're not going to be very overconfident on Sunday, are you?
Oh no, we wouldn't be overconfident. We're just going to do our best. As Dublin says too, we're going to do our best. So hopefully they'll become winners at the end of it.
We were out of the limelight for so long, and it was 20 years between 2 All-Ireland successes, and that's a long time to be out of the way. And when you get up there, you work so hard to get up there, and when you get up there, you don't like to lose it too easily, and it does give you a great boost of self-confidence, yes.
However, that confidence was put to a severe test for a time in their semi-final against Offaly.
And look at this for confidence. And a good ball to Mark Plunkett, another of the under-21s. Will he try for a point from out there? That's a good effort by Mark Plunkett. Oh, that's a glorious point. We're just gone over the 35 minutes. It's half-time. You hear the cheers around Croke Park. They're mostly, I think, for Offaly, who are putting up a great show. And they lead at half-time. Double scores, 8 points to 4.
In the Offaly game, it took us a while to get going. I don't really know why it took us so long, but we managed to click, and when that happened, then we kind of took control of the game. It's a case of clicking in time, actually, for Dublin, but in the other cases now, it's just that it took us a while to get going. When we did, we managed to knock a few over.
Stafford for Meath. Well blocked by Michael O'Grady. Beggy using his speed. What a turn that was by Beggy. Slowing his way in and putting it over the bar. The angle wasn't all that good, really, for a right-footed kicker. Liam Hayes here. Nicely to Matty McCabe. Back to Brian Stafford. Oh, that's very nice indeed from Brian Stafford. Liam Hayes. Trying to get away from Peter Brady. Gives it to Brian Stafford. To Bernard Flynn. Is there yet another point for Bernard Flynn? Yes, there is. Well, he was under a little bit of pressure, but he's so beautifully balanced. He's got so much skill.
Colm, you've just returned from America. Had you it in mind that you would try to get back on the team?
Well, that was my intention. As you know, I met up with the Meath team in Boston on the All-Star trip, and discussions with the selectors, they said that if I was interested, that there was a chance I might get on. Like, I'm only home a month, as you say, but I didn't think it'd be so fast. So it was a pleasant surprise last night.
Well, now, you're now selected left corner back. There can't be many positions on the team that you haven't played over the years.
I think goalkeeper is about the only one left. Yeah, I've played right half forward, left half forward, midfield, half backs, and now the full back line. So with a bit of luck, it'll go well Sunday.
Are you a little concerned by the fact that everybody's making you such hot favourites?
No, we're not too worried about it, because I think Sean Boylan has instilled a positive mental approach into the team, and yet complacency doesn't come into it. We'll still have our mind right for Sunday. We'll be quietly confident, but at the same time there will be no danger of complacency.
I suppose make selectors are always worried before any championship match, because if you don't win that match, you're gone out of the competition. And I suppose on top of that, the fact that the team happen to be league champions and All-Ireland champions, that puts that added pressure on the team. But so far they've shown a great sort of acceptance of the pressure that has been put on them, and they've played well. Maybe not as well as we'd like to have played, say, against Offaly and against Louth, but that's championship football for you.
Well, we met those Meath people in the tranquil surroundings of Columban College, Dalgan Park. This Leinster final is the last of the provincial deciders, and it begins at 3:45, and the same counties are also in the minor match, which starts at 2:15. Well, Dublin the challengers again this year, and Meath are the only team to have beaten them in the last year. And Dublin were very busy and hard at work in Parnell Park when we visited them there during the week.
Here we saw that manager Jerry McCall is a stern taskmaster, putting the players through their training exercises, with prompting from the captain Jerry Hargan. And midfielder Declan Bulger, who's recovered from injury, is encouraged to concentrate on his shooting. Barney Rock is one of the best marksmen in the sport, and he's been out of football for nearly a year. Tommy Carr is the surprise choice at right half-back, and Barney Rock is very happy to be back in the Leinster final.
Well, it's good to be anywhere in the forwards will do, you know, especially on the right-hand side. I like playing that side more so than any other side, but having said that, you take your chance anywhere you can get it.
So what's the attitude facing Meath now after the defeat in the replay of the league final?
Well, we never played really in the replay. Meath played some great stuff in the second half, and I think we'll have to play to our full potential, as we did in the first match. We've got to forget about the second match now, and I think if we play anyway like that, I think we could be in the same end of a result. So we'll be looking to the first game as our big booster, and hopefully we can play like that.
Not only yourself, but there's so many of these lads have been injured. There have been a crop of injuries over the last year, haven't there?
Indeed there has, Mick. I suppose if you go through from John O'Leary right through to Joe McNally in the corner, I'd say you would have about 13 of the team that has been injured at some stage. And it's not great because we haven't had a settled team for a long time. And hopefully, you know, if we can get over Sunday is going to be our big match. You know, it's our All-Ireland final, really.
Well, they are the All-Ireland champions.
And the league champions, but they're a good team, so we're certainly up against it.
Get it! 1, 2, 3. Jerry McCall is in complete charge as he issues the instructions, so he doesn't spare them because, like everyone else, he's aware of the huge task facing them against a team who are the double champions.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
But the guys know themselves that they have to produce the goods on Sunday. They've been beaten. Some of them have competed in, this will be their third Leinster final against Meath. They lost the last two, so they're keen to get one back at this stage.
But yet there was a stage in the drawn league final when they seemed to have Meath very much, they seemed to be very much in control.
Yeah, we could have won it that day, and we just didn't take our chances in the end, and that's the way the game ended up, in the draw.
I'm sure yourself and the other selectors, Sean and Tony, couldn't have been very happy today in Mullingar in the first half.
No, we weren't, but I wasn't, you know, as displeased as, you know, commentators might have been, because there was a heavy wind coming down that field, and I don't think people appreciated that as much. And I feel the second half proved that, you know, that we took a lot of long-range points in the second half. But Longford, in fairness to them, played very well in the first half and played to their strengths, and took us that half an hour, 35 minutes to come to terms with that.
Barney Rock has scored only 2 points in this game, but he's got good possession. He's looked around him. He's spotted the best options, and he's made the right decisions, it seems, at all times. That's not a bad ball either. McGalvin! A smashing goal taken with a lot of authority by Galvin. Tommy Conroy here. Takes off McNamee, plays it to Bissett. Bissett has the area opening up ahead of him. Plays it into Vincent Murphy, goes for goal.
We know what we're up against. Where of course we have a chance. It's a 50-50 on the day, you know. Against the breaks, I suppose. But they have won a league, an All-Ireland, and two Leinster championships in the past 2 years. So they're a good team.
Some people, though, are a little bit afraid that it will deteriorate. That that football between Dublin and Meath has been deteriorating because you're meeting so often.
Yeah, well, just naturally, it's great rivalry there, and the competition now is fierce. In Leinster and Meath and Dublin, past through the years, have been great rivals. I don't imagine it to be a physical game. I think it'll be an open, good game of football.
We've only been beaten twice in the last 2 years, a Leinster final and the league final replay. So we hadn't had that bad of a record, and I don't think too many people are giving us that much of a chance on Sunday.
They're not, but how do you feel yourselves? Do you feel you have a reasonable chance?
Well, if we didn't think we had a chance, we wouldn't be going there. I reckon that, you know, we'll give it our best shot. Hopefully on the day it'll be good enough.
All the Meath games have been very, very physical. I'd love to see an open game of football. But as I think,
don't expect that.
Yeah, well, going on previous performances in the last 5-6 years, any Leinster final I've seen between Dublin and Meath has been a rather tenacious and let's say vigorous affair.
So all set for their third consecutive meeting in the final. And Dublin have built up a good record in the championship in these 1980s, and they won when they met in 1980, 83 and 84. But of course Meath were the victors in the last two Leinster finals.
Jerry McEntee, blocked by Noel McCaffrey. Jim Ronayne floating it across to Leo Close, who's looked very lively. Noel McCaffrey right up with the attack. Tommy Carr beaten for it by Joe Castles. Comes back to PJ Buckley. And you notice that Dublin's still struggling to get into their real rhythm. And that's a tribute to the determination of the Meath men. Kieran Duff, Joe McNally's under it, knocking it down, and Charlie Redmond belts it over the bar. Colm Coyle, sideline ball. Jerry McEntee bidding to put the sides on level terms, but again John O'Leary makes the save, and PJ Buckley nearly puts it out over his end line. It comes instead, and it's gone off the post. A shot by David Peggy, and Finian Marto taps it over the bar, and that's the equaliser. Colm O'Rourke ready to line up this sideline ball on a most inclement afternoon. And those spectators there just behind him having absolutely no shelter at all from the elements. Driven low. And a very good point.
Jerry Hargan. To field Liam Harnon's delivery and to give it away. And here comes David Peggy. This is a great run. He's got Bernard Flynn to his right. He puts it over the bar. If he'd given it to Flynn, he'd surely have put it in the net. This line ball to me then. Liam Hayes, well driven. Knocked down in front of the goal. Brilliantly by Matty McCabe. An opportunist goal by Matty McCabe, who came into this game at the very start in place of the injured Joe Castles. Liam Hayes took the sideline kick. It drifted in there in front of the Dublin goalmouth. Nobody claimed it. It broke loose to McCabe. In a flash, he had stuck it in the back of the net. Barney Rock, who's come into this game and made a great impact. He finds Mick Galvin. Will he try for a goal? Mick Galvin drives it over rather than under. It's still the equaliser, however. Finian Murphy back to help from me, to Mick Lyons, who's enjoying himself out around the middle of the field. To Colm O'Rourke, a great catch by O'Rourke, bursting his way forward. Looking for the point, under intense pressure. And he's got it. That's the score of the game for me. Colm O'Rourke, a great catch as that one dropped. He was under tremendous pressure. But he's a great player in that kind of situation, and he got the point. What a score from O'Rourke.
So Meath taking the first step last July towards regaining the All-Ireland title, but they've still got a long way to go to catch up on Dublin. Dublin won the Leinster title on 38 occasions. Last year's win for Meath was their 14th. And Dublin lead in their championship clashes in all rounds, 23 wins to Meath's 11. And in Leinster finals, it's 2-1, with Dublin having won 8 times when they met in the decider and Meath 4. But of course, what counts is what happens in Croke Park tomorrow. And these teams have got very recent form between them from the Royal Liver League final, draw and replay.
And Bulger now back in midfield, with McNally back at full forward. Having completed the switch as Kevin Foley feeds it to the other wing back, to O'Connell. Hargan getting there ahead of Stafford. That's great handling, great fielding by Jerry Hargan, dancing around opponents. Trying to link up with Noel McCaffrey, taken low by Liam Hayes. Robbed by Kieran Duff. Dublin anxious to get to the ball first time. Down towards Vinnie Murphy, if he can just send inside Martin O'Connell. He's away. The young Trinity Girls player, the youngest player in the field at 18, and he has scored a lovely point. Here's Beggy. Chance to open up the game on this right wing. We haven't seen much of David Beggy so far. Switching it across towards Bernard Flynn's wing, getting there ahead of Dave Carroll. Now the link up with Beggy again. That's great running by Beggy, who initiated that move. The link up back with Flynn. That's Flynn and Beggy combining. Can they finish with a score? Diagonal pass taken neatly by Vinnie Murphy. A couple of players to aim at. That's Kieran Duff continuing the run forward. Foley going across to cover for Meath. Kieran Duff will try to get it onto the trusty left boot. Trying to round Martin O'Connell, looking for support, getting it. There's Delap, belting it in towards Joe McNally. Lines there first, but it comes down to Murphy. Great shot, good save. Point-blank range save by Mickey McQuillan. So Brian Stafford has this chance to tie up the scores, which would be a satisfactory enough position for Meath in this first half as they played against the breeze. 25 seconds into injury time. And it's 4 points apiece. It's going to be Colm O'Rourke who will take the free on the 13-metre line, an angled free. And for a left-footed kicker, it's just the right position. Meath missing a golden opportunity. Well, we don't know from here just how hard that breeze is, but that kick-out's been taken awfully quickly yet again. Dublin living dangerously. Jerry Hargan tidying up a potentially damaging situation for Dublin. Setting up David Delap. Pass outside to Mick Galvin. Galvin trying to turn Robbie O'Malley. Playing it up towards Joe McNally. Now can he escape the shackles of Mick Lyons? The pass back for Delap. The left-footed kick, and Dublin have gone back in front again. Only the game's second point from play. Both of those credited to Dublin, and that's Delap's second point of the match. Liam Hayes to take the sideline ball towards Brian Stafford. Here's McCabe just into the action, and he's got a point. It's interesting, 4 of his previous 5 points all came when he came in as a sub, and here he is straight into the action, and he scores from play. Kevin Foley thought about a pass outside to O'Connell. Good ball, picking up Ferguson unmarked outside the 45-metre line. Turning inside towards 2 Dublin tackles, cross to Flynn. Good release. Here's Flynn to steady himself. Kick and score. The match now bursting into life. Tommy Conroy teasing Martin O'Connell. Now he'll get it onto that left boot. Looks a good one. Conroy's first point of the game. Opportunity here then to regain the lead for his team. Angles wide. It's a goal by Galvin. Mick Galvin, the scorer. Harnan to take the free. Belting it forward. Touched on to McCabe from Stafford. Here's Flynn, good chance. He chips it over the bar and the sides are level yet again. We're into time added on for stoppages in any case. Here's McCaffrey. The side trailing by a point. Is their unbeaten run to end And are they to lose their league title? Not up to McNally has his way. He's tied up the scores. And I suppose it would be fitting if they both live to fight another day. Warren McCaffrey, who's a London-based doctor, commutes regularly from London to train with the Dublin team. Taken comfortably by Vinnie Murphy in the left-half forward position. Is this the opening score? It is. So a chance here for Meath to get on level terms. Low inside towards Colm O'Rourke. Oh, very near to being a goal. It is now. And it's Brendan Riley who scored it. Colm O'Rourke once again being sucked into midfield, but Mick Kennedy has followed. This is Gillick transferring to Hayes. Open space in front of him, pursued by Tim O'Driscoll, about to come into shot. A great goal!
Well, that victory in May has installed Meath as firm favourites for tomorrow's final. But of course, Dublin aren't without hope, as we heard from Parnell Park earlier. Well, if you can't get to Croke Park tomorrow, you can see the highlights on RTE2. That'll be in the Sunday game tomorrow night, which begins at 10:30. And then there's the repeat programme on Monday evening at 5:30. Well, finally, a mention of Camogie and more history. Well, remember, it's a 3:45 start in Croke Park tomorrow, when Dublin will try and wrest the title away from Meath. Or can Meath win a third successive title for the first time in their history? Brendan.